Honestly, I'm exhausted. I probably should just record this tomorrow, but I have a sunburn that's developing and I know it's only gonna be worse tomorrow.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about the Florida Man Games, the first ever annual Florida Man Games that just took place today in St. Augustine, Florida. Also, if you can't tell, I'm still in my hotel. That's why there's weird overhead lighting, and there's also like 8 different lamps pointing at me right now trying to like make this work. I heard about the Florida Man Games via TikTok months ago, last year, all right, and I ended up buying my ticket back in December. Now, obviously, I had no idea what was going to happen about the Florida Man Games. I just knew that it was Olympic-style games based off of Florida Man headlines. What is a Florida Man headline, you may be asking if you've never logged onto the internet a day in your life? I will tell you. According to Google, Florida Man is an internet meme popularized in 2013, referring to an alleged prevalence of people performing irrational or maniacal actions in the U.S. state of Florida. Why did I come to the Florida Man Games as a born and bred Californian? Well, I'll tell you, I'm nosy. It was the first year of an event, and it had a wacky premise. That's a Swell Entertainment original, baby.
But really quick, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Aura. After a month of no travel, I am right back into the thick of it, as you can see with this video. And that means I am back to airports and hotels and motels and being around a bunch of different Wi-Fis and a bunch of different phones, and my information is vulnerable. There are data brokers out there making a fortune off of your information, from your full name to your home address to your personal phone number to your social security number. But these data brokers have to stop selling your information if you ask them to. However, they make it incredibly difficult to do so, and that's where our sponsor Aura comes in. Aura will identify data brokers selling your information and submit automatic opt-out requests on your behalf so you don't have to, doing the hard work for you. But that's not all Aura does. They also have VPNs, password managers, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps, all at one affordable price. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so that I can focus on making content for you guys. Stop data brokers from profiting off of your information. Go to aura.com/swell to get started on a 14-day free trial. Again, that's aura.com/swell, and thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video.
Florida Man Games took place in Francis Field, St. Augustine, Florida. Now, it's interesting because when a couple people asked me about like where was I going in February, and I said the Florida Man Games, people would be like, what's that? And then I would explain it, and they'd be like, why in St. Augustine? Because some of them were from Florida. And I would tell them, I have no idea why. Why would I know that? I don't know. But there is a possibility that future events will be at the previous winner's hometown, which could be a fun premise for the overall build of the lore of the Florida Man Games, okay? But let's talk about the event itself. I wanted to get a VIP ticket. I was unable to get a VIP ticket. I bought my tickets back in December, and already all of the VIP were sold out. I have no idea what the tally for the VIP was, so I had the standard field ticket, which was $49.87. Now, something that I also want to point out is that part of the Florida Man Games was that obviously there would be teams competing and you could apply to compete. However, it was also pretty clearly stipulated on the page here that you could challenge your friends to a couple of different things: mechanical gator ride, Florida sumo, weaponized pool noodles, obstacle course, so the mullet contest, Florida Man pinup, chicken coop bingo, 911 fight night, brawl of the badges. The one thing that I will state outright is that I don't think they did enough of the everyone can compete versus the actual competition. Basically, there was a bunch of teams. They all applied to compete. Apparently, the videos are available here on their website. I can't find them off the top right here, but allegedly they're here because one of the team members were like, you want to laugh your ass off at looking at some dumb stuff? Go watch those videos. But here on Frequently Asked Questions, can everyone compete? Everyone will get the chance against friends on the field. There will be main events field where teams from across Florida will battle it out for the Gator Head trophy. Even if you're not with a team, there will be a Florida Man Games events available for you to challenge your friends in all day long. There wasn't really a lot of challenge elements, I would say. Obviously, there was the Florida Ma'am, which was like a pinup contest, bingo, and things like that. But as far as like what the other actual teams were competing in, there wasn't a lot of that open to like everyone else. And a bunch of people clearly dressed up. They were wearing like their own team shirts that they had made, and they weren't like official team members. They were just like hoping for the chance to compete in something against each other, I would suppose, or at least other teams. So I think in the future, if there were like any big changes I would make to this overall, is expanding it and having a like kind of like junior course duplication and a bigger location, obviously, but a duplication of where all of these main events are that are like the fun, goofy versions of them, even goofier and, less serious, I think would be a good idea just to get people, more involved. There was a blow up obstacle course, but I didn't see a ton of people doing it. There was some people, mostly children, obviously. Gator rides were available, blow up mechanical gators. There was also a spinny wheel thing that you did dodge and duck, that type of thing. But like, that's just like goofy little silly things. It's not like, oh yeah, the Florida Man games that you're doing at the same time. No, those were good for, keeping the crowd occupied between events and things like that. I'm not knocking those in their existence. I'm just saying I don't think that's an equivalent for people who thought they would get to compete against their friends in similar games to what the actual event was, if that makes sense. Overall, for this event, it was a fun event. Very, very Florida. Obviously, an entire event of Floridians poking fun at themselves, which I always think is fantastic. You should absolutely have the ability to poke fun at yourself. It makes life more enjoyable. One of our hosts was OMG It's Wix, iconic Floridian, according to the website breakdown. I'm going to be honest, had never heard of him, but everyone was very excited. So I believe iconic Floridian is an apt description. There is a catchphrase that he has that everyone was waiting for the entire day. Now, he waited until the very end of the day, the very last event of the day, okay? It was the police evasion obstacle course, I believe is the official title. But basically, instead of saying on your marks, get set, go, ready, set, go, anything like that, he would yell, flip phone activate, and the entire crowd would also yell it with him. 3, 2, 1, flip phone activate. When people ask me about, cyber celebrities, viral celebrities, how do they really achieve something? When you can do things like that, that's when you've made it to at least a local level. Fantastic. No notes. We also had refs/judges is how they were described to us day of. Now, Dan Nitro Clark and Lori Ice Fetrick, former American gladiators. They were also very fun, very involved. They kept giving pointers to whoever was competing, specifically in the second official event, which was the weaponized pool noodle mud duel, because it's very similar to some things that they have done previously. Now, first we had the Eat the Butt challenge. Now, I did try to film this, and this is my overall note for this event is we got to figure out the spectator side of things much more, because obviously, yes, you want to have a bunch of fun things off to the side, but if I'm at the Florida Man Games, you guessed it, I want to watch the Florida Man Games, So the first event, the Eat the Butt challenge, you're going to see in the video clips, it is under one tent, it's one table, and it was impossible to see anything. This is another one of those events where I fully become aware of the fact that I am 5'2", and I do have limitations because of that. So if I do ever hire a camera person that doubles as a bodyguard, I do need them to be over 6 feet tall just for the nature of crowd shots. Basically, the Eat the Butt challenge was a competitors must finish their pork butt platter in the fastest time to place highest in the initial bracket. This was based on a point system. Do not ask me to explain the point system. I could barely hear them half the time. I could barely keep up with the point system. We'll just tell you who the winners are at the very end.
All right, I'm moving to the next spot, which I believe is the pool noodle one. Trying to get a better spot. Everyone's packed in under the tent. It's real tiny. Hard to see anything because they got all the teams up front, obviously supporting their guys.
There was a lot of cops at this event because of the nature of the Florida Man lore, okay? Someone has to be arrested in order to become a Florida Man, okay? The lore of the Florida Man. There's usually an arrest involved, okay? So obviously there was a lot of cops here, both there to just keep the crowds in order, but also to participate. Evading arrest obstacle course, they were in fact evading cops the entire time. They had actual police officers trying to chase them down and tag them and or tackle them. The end of the night, which I'm very bummed I missed, there was a 911 fight night Brawl of the Badges. I didn't realize it was a VIP only / extended ticketed event. Do you know how much I would have loved to watch a firefighter punch a cop in the face? I'm gonna be honest, that would have been like the cherry on top of the day. Didn't realize it was not for me. I have no idea what happened with that. No idea what happened with that. It happened after we were all like, hey guys, gotta leave. Eat the Butt challenge, could barely see anything. For the weaponized pool noodle duel, mud duel, even in the image on the website, they are on a raised platform, it looks like. Clearly, on site, they had tire platforms that were like 3 or 4 tires tall with a plank of wood inside of them. The initial thing is that this was an above ground pool that they were then going to put these tires in, and then the combatants would be on top of these tires dueling that way, and then either fall into the mud water or fall out and probably snap their necks. these things never go well. Apparently, according to our announcer, whose name is not on here, this is going to drive me crazy. There was 2 other hosts there as well. The main host, he shared that they had been trying to fill up the pool all night. They came in at 4:30 in the morning to the field, and the pool was a crumpled, deflated mess. And because they had a bunch of cops around, they were revealing footage, and it looks like potentially, allegedly, someone with New York City plates had come in and slashed the pool. At the very least, someone had actually slashed the pool. There was a slash in the pool. Okay, the mud pool was a deflated mess. Okay, it held water a little bit, but it wasn't an above ground pool. So obviously that with 5 inches of water, they definitely couldn't have the raised platform. So the pool noodle mud duel was a little bit more chaotic, but I do think it fit the vibe of the event. Going forward, I think that a bigger pool and one with more security may be a better move for the pool noodle mud duel, because it's a very fun event. But if you have it on a raised platform, even with an above ground pool with a good chunk of water in it, these are big dudes fighting. That amount of water, that distance, it's not enough. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to knock how you look or anything. It's just physics, not enough surface space for the water, okay? It was very funny also to see the rules change for some of the events, one event in, one competition in, because there was a good amount of teams fighting, so they would do matchups, obviously, and then they would just go based off the point system for that. There would be times where it's hey, you have to do a joust move, 2 fights in, so that you actually don't just bum rush each other, because then the fight's over immediately. And in some instances, it was headshot, done. In one instance, they broke the pool noodle, and so one of the teams that was a gym actually had their own pool noodles that they had brought for training. I don't know, but they brought them and they started using those. Those were smaller. Those were a little more firm, knocking people out left, right, and center. Okay, then we had a catalytic converter, 2 bikes, and a handful of copper pipes race against time. It quite literally is what it seems on the tin. Basically, they would have to carry a catalytic converter, ride a bike, unlock a bike from getting their key from their teammate, then take the bike, go back through the obstacle course riding the bike because, and I quote the presenter, because we've all seen a guy riding one bike while holding another one and you think, oh, that guy just stole a bike. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. You do that, and then I think there was a handful of copper pipes, if I remember correctly. It's in the footage. But yeah, it was another obstacle course, which was fun. That one was fun. Seeing people struggle to juggle multiple bikes in one go really shows just the dexterity required to be a criminal. The mullet contest I missed. I don't even know how I missed it, but I did miss the mullet contest. There was also an alligator show at one point with someone from Gatorland. Florida Man Pinup, which was basically someone had reached out and been like, hey, what about the Florida girls? The Florida women. What is this, Florida Man Games? And so they did the Florida Man Pinup. That was pinup style, but literally just make it Florida. They went crazy with it. It was very fun. I overheard, but I did miss chicken coop bingo. Now I'm going to be honest, when I saw the chickens there, I hadn't seen chicken coop bingo on the website. I saw the chickens in their little pen, okay? And then when I saw alligator show, I was very worried I was going to have to start watching live chickens get feed to alligators. Thank God I did not, but that's where my brain went. No, what it was is that they changed it. The website, it says chicken coop bingo. There they kept calling it chicken shit bingo. You see, whichever numbers that the chickens pooped on, that's the number that was called. Getting bingo still works the same way. We also had the Category 5 cash grab, which was those cash win tunnels, okay, that you see at conventions a lot. It was not a Category 5 wins, which a lot of the people around me were very upset about. Something that I also was very annoyed about is that they just didn't stop people from just, before the wins even started, grabbing a handful of cash from the bottom. Seems like a reffing issue. The main host, there's Wick, and then there was this other guy with a baseball cap on, okay? You'll see him talking a lot. He said, in a means to make things interesting, I believe he said, I will match in real dollars whatever you make in fake dollars. I believe was his exact wording, okay? Now, despite putting on the Florida Man Games, it seems like he didn't realize that there were 20 fake dollar bills in there, as well as $5 and $1 fake bills. So pretty much everyone grabbed over $1,000 in fake money. And the first time it happened, he was like, oh, I'm going to regret this. I didn't realize there was 20s in there. The second one is where I literally saw him slowly, calmly losing his mind while walking around. as they were counting up the wads of cash that these guys were getting because they just started shoving it under their shirts. And also the clumping didn't help. And also they figured out, oh, if I just crouch down, I'll trap it in the bottom and I can just grab a bunch. I think the tally was at over $7,000 real money. I think, I'm not certain. Everyone was able to grab pretty much over $1,000. So he said, okay, so I don't think I'll ever be able to do the Florida Man games again, but glad you guys got money. I don't know why you would say that. Oh yeah, to make it interesting. They're already competing. And then we had the Florida Sumo. Try to blast your opponent and or spill their remaining beer. Now, they literally had an octagon cage. Basically, you would be given a pool noodle to wear over your belly. A bunch of the guys just went shirtless. And then you also were given a thing of beer. And you had to knock your opponent down or into the side of the cage without spilling your beer. But also if they spill all your beer, then they won. It was a little back and forth. They weren't super consistent with it. What annoyed me again was the spacing issue. It was down by where they did the butt eating contest. But because they had done they'd left the police cars there for the obstacle course, the police cars were blocking the side view of the sumo. I get it. You want to have the game area closed off because there were people that did end up like jumping and running into the mud pit because of course it's just there. Some people did ask politely, okay? And they said, oh yeah, as long as you do it with the blow up gators, do whatever you want. I don't know. I think it's a spacing issue, or at the very least, invest in rentable screens next time, okay? Like it's a music festival. So that way you don't have a bunch of like crowding issues near where the spectator stands are, because the stands, you definitely did not have enough stands. They had 2 stands, which I'm sure in theory they were like, this will be enough because a bunch of people want to mill around and they won't want to sit down. But then 1/4 of it was taken up only for VIP. Okay. And that was literally like a whole section where you show your VIP wristband in order to get up to that side of the bleachers. I just don't think it was enough seats. They weren't big enough. I would do at least 2 more of those full bleachers moving forward. I think that also just provides a little bit of shade as well. At the same time, there was not enough shade. Like I said, I got a sunburn, but that's because I'm pale. It's also just a long day to not have seating and much shade, especially when you do have food trucks and everything. Like there really wasn't anywhere to like sit and eat. It was a lot of walking and eating or standing and eating aside from the bleachers, which again, there's just not enough bleachers. So that, and then also I just think screens would help as well, because then you'll have people who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and wait in line for food, but I'm still watching. I'm able to see on the screens what event is happening, and you're filming everything. So you totally could integrate screens super easily. They had like multiple cameras on. I believe they were live streaming the event at certain points. Totally could do screens. So I think that that's something that, you know, I know you just lost a lot of money to the hurricane winners, but you really should invest in screens. Then we had evading arrest obstacle course. Now this one literally went through almost the entire length of the game course. So it was very hard to see everything, but I got as much as I could. I will say there was several people who did manage to not get tagged by the cops once. And I did think it was funny that the announcers were like, oh, those people are going to go commit crimes tonight now that they know they can outrun a cop. Kind of funny, okay? But see, this is where as well, lots of different food options. I do think more food options would be nice. They did have a decent amount of food trucks. I do think more is always good. But again, I also want you to have more seating. So if you having seating means no more food trucks, I'm cool with that. I did end up just going and eating my lunch in my car. I got a pepperoni grilled cheese at one point, okay? And I went just ate it in my little rental because it was out of the sun and I could sit.
I can't tell what this dude's doing. I'm really hoping this is his truck. Really hoping this is this dude's truck. Otherwise, he is casing this truck. I think it's his. He's looking for something. I think it's his truck.
They had porta potties. The porta potties stayed fairly clean for a one-day event. I will give them that. But they did run out of water and paper towels by about 2 p.m. I would say 2:30 for the actual hand washing station. So that, not a blast. But then again, when you just have that many people, you have to be refilling or at least have a designated refill time. I don't know if they ended up doing that after 2:30, but from what I could tell, they didn't. I could always be wrong though, because again, big event, a lot of people. I can't be watching the porta potties all the time because I have things to do, okay? I never did get the chance to ride the mechanical gator, but I will give you a video clip of me riding a mechanical bull to make up for that.
Muting this because I stuck Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy on here. Check me out on TikTok at Swell Entertainment as well. And yes, I did speed up this video so that I look more impressive, staying on the bull the entire time. And yes, this is at Saddle Ranch because at the end of the day, I am an LA girly pop.
Sorry. And then it was the end of the event, all right? And again, they kept saying like, oh yeah, if you have VIP, you get the 911 brawl. Don't rub it in my face that I couldn't get VIP. Why must you remind me that I have to miss out on watching firefighters and cops punch each other in the face? Why? Why do that to me? There was a prize for winning, but there was no trophy. You see here it says, battle it out for the Gator Head trophy. I was really looking forward to what a Gator Head trophy would entail. Is it a bronze Gator Head trophy? Is it silver? Is it mounted? Is it an actual taxidermy gator head? I don't know, but I was really curious to see what the Floridians of the Florida Man Games would come up with. And instead, we got a Florida Man Championship snakeskin belt for Hanky Spanky, the winning team, who had great energy all day. So I can't fault them for winning. They were very talented and very into it. I think one of the guys, their leader, is the one who said repeatedly up and down, like, oh yeah, you guys ready to see some stupid shit? Let's go. Commit to the bit. I love that. Fantastic. I will give this to all Floridians. You know how to commit to a bit. I respect that. But it was not a Gatorhead trophy, and therefore you lied to me and I feel cheated. It's fine. The belt looked cool. The belt's a fun thing, but I think the trophy is another fun thing. Like I miss trophies. I get it. I think belts are cheaper to have made now. Is that what it is? Because I feel like a lot of things have leaned into the belts. Like the prize belts, like non-wrestling, non-boxing things have leaned into belts a lot more lately. I'm a fan of a trophy. You know, I get it. You want to walk around with the belt on and all that, but a trophy is so like timeless and gaudy and ridiculous. I love it. Okay. Just saying, you don't need to take my note, but it would be nice. And yeah, they yelled. They said they definitely want to come back next year. Pretty much everyone was very excited to have it come back next year. I don't know. They did talk about potentially doing it in the winner's hometown. I do think that would be a really fun way to kind of like bring the Florida Man Games all over Florida versus having them always in St. Augustine. Not a knock to St. Augustine. I just think that would be a fun way to really bring the state of Florida to the Florida Man Games. And there are people from all over Florida here at this event. I'm sure there are people from other places as well. The price is fine. $50 for a one-day event like this that gets you entrance. I think that's fine. The cost for VIP, I believe, was $120. And I think that mostly got you, again, like you skipped the line when you walked up. You got the specialty seating spot. So that seating spot never really filled up. I don't know how many VIP tickets there were. And then obviously you also got the 911 brawl that you got access to. I don't know what else VIP got you, but it might be worth it depending on, you know, if you want to sit down or you want to guarantee seating. I hope they expand seating more next year now that they know exactly what needs to be done. Also, screens. I can't emphasize screens enough. Screens. I just think that would really help with crowding, you know, and some of your cops are seeming antsy at sometimes with like the crowding situation. Congrats to Hanky Spanky. Congrats on your win, your literal sweep, I would say. There were some teams that were very close there. Everyone fought valiantly, drank beer heartily, belly flopped into the pool readily, and I respect that. But anyways, that's going to be it. Did you hear about the Florida Man Games? Were you wondering why I was at the Florida Man Games? Are you mad that you missed out on the Florida Man Games? Let me know, comment down below. Reminder that I have a podcast, reminder that I now stream on Twitch, reminder to use code SWELL for 10% off on gamer subs. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you also support my favorite, I'll list down below. Like to comment on social media, really up here. And that's me to have a lovely day. Goodbye. God, I should have said that's it. Have a lovely day. Flip phone activate. What am I doing? This is how you know I'm not Floridian.
Thank you, Oz, Eva, Ayana, Abby, Angel, Goth, Glenn, Palace, Pink, Jasmine, Lauren, Amy, Aslan, Medic, Rosie, Victor, Andrew, Tenzin, Sam, Mae West, Michael, Ryan, Adira, Nathan, Zwink, Literal, Jeffrey, Randy, QWERTY, Nomad, Thomas, Tasha, Donnie, Winter, Kenny, Robert, Cameron, Elliott.